I guess like you mentioned the art style. Were you ever a part of those debates over like Wind Waker's graphics, or like did you ever hear about that whole controversy whenever people didn't like that before it came out?
I mean, I didn't really use the internet a lot when I was,
Or
social media
yeah,
wasn't
I guess
a
I should
thing,
say
really.
like, what's your take on that like debate once you found out that was a thing? Whenever you did,
My
find it.
take on it is that it's absolutely the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
life.
Okay.
Like, it's so dumb. Like, I get that there was like a tech demo, but like, if you, I learned it's after seeing the GameCube Zelda tech demo, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, once you see that and see that how Wind Waker came out, you never look at a tech demo for guaranteed ever, and you definitely don't after seeing the Final Fantasy VII one for the PS3 or whatever. It took like 17 years or something for for Final Fantasy VII to finally get a remake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's always wild to think about like how people were genuinely like super upset that this didn't like look like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. And like it would be the hottest of hot takes if someone were to try and say today like Wind Waker hasn't aged that good. Wind Waker, I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a terrible take.
yeah, I don't know anyone that like would try and defend that take now. Like I think I'm sure there's some weirdos out there, but
I think that like out of all gaming opinions and all hot takes on Twitter, that I don't believe in objectivity when it comes to like gaming opinions, but saying Wind Waker has bad art direction is objectively the worst take ever. Like that is wrong.
yeah.
It is objectively wrong.
Oh dear. Yeah, no. And that's like interesting though that like I guess that was like a debate at one point. But yeah, I don't think you could see anyone trying to like make that take now because it's such a good art design that like it practically is objective. That even if you have like some weird personal quirk that you don't like it, like you at least need to like appreciate it and like respect it.
As a kid, I was just like, wow, this looks really good. I want to draw that. Like, and I think that alone is just like a reason why it's so sick. Like,
Yeah.
it's another like I love the game Okami, which is like the third best Zelda game.
I haven't actually beat it. I need to get around to it.
I think you would really like Okami.
Nice.
Like it is so solid. Like that game looks like a full ukiyo-e painting. Like it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like any game where like you understand the art direction, you feel like you can like touch it or like it's like tangible in some ways is so powerful. It's so powerful. And just like, you know, I love cartoons. I love like how expressive Link is. Like the absolute charm and personality of the game means so much more.
Yeah.
Just like even like the little countdown that they have before they rocket Link.
That was literally the first example I was gonna say. Like that's just such a good because I've always liked Link as a protagonist, especially in early Zelda games. I think by this point Nintendo is kind of like finalizing it in the direction that like they want to treat Link like a more distinct character because like Breath of the Wild and like Skyward Sword have been like angling more and more in that direction. But I always liked like, oh, Link is like me or whatever during like whenever I would play Zelda games growing up. And then Wind Waker was really interesting because what I liked about the expressions was just because of like just the cartoony like sincerity and stuff like that. It always felt like, oh yes, like that's perfectly fitting in the moment, and like it made me feel like more about that situation. And it was really weird that it didn't like take away from my experience of like, oh, Link is an avatar for me, but it still like got me more invested in the game and like emotionally kind of affected by what Link was doing and Link's thoughts on the matter.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the um, most interesting parts about Link is that like there is some people say that there's no personality, and I think that only applies to like Twilight Princess maybe, like even then. But like what I think especially during the 2000s when Wind Waker came out in like the 90s with Ocarina of Time is that like a lot of protagonists were fucking like they're coming off the heels of like Sonic is cool.
Yeah.
So like there were like zany whip liners and like one liners and whipping and all that business. And it's just like for me, Wind Waker was like this is like a time where a character is expressing themselves and like blatantly has a personality, doesn't say a single word, and it doesn't disrupt the fact that I get to play this game.
Yes, you just worded what I was trying to say like so much better. Yeah, that concept of like you're getting the commentary, but it's not like taking over your experience with the game. I think is so good.
Just like there's some games that came out around that time, and I just didn't get the appeal. And then it's like pretty hot takes, I guess, at this point in time because like those games are pretty beloved. Like I didn't have a PS2, so like I saw like Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. I'm like, I don't get this. These are just like these are like zany, wacky characters.
Yeah.
Which is pretty like surface level like takes.
Yeah. But if you haven't played the consoles, then I haven't played those games either. But yeah.
But with just like little things with Link, just seeing like the slight silhouette of his arms, or like how he swims, doing like the tiny breaststroke. He gets out the water, and he's like this, like dripping wet, like
yeah.
It's like dude, I feel that. Like I've fallen into a pool with my clothes on. Like I feel that.
Yeah. And like it's just so nice, especially for a game like that came out then. Like whenever they like that game, they did stuff explicitly like for the art direction, and it was like a conscious choice. Like it wasn't like it's the cliche to say by now, but like realistic graphics like age so much quicker and everything. But it really is because like I feel like games like Wind Waker, when they were first starting to do like cell shading, was the first time that like games were trying to like this is distinctly like representing that, and we know it's not like completely realistic, but like that heightened type of feel, as opposed to like we're trying to get this as close to like real as we can, and like not really having like a sense of art direction for how they were achieving that. It was just, well, this is the best we can do on the N64 or the GameCube.
Which is crazy because like I remember like looking at like GoldenEye and be like, that's real life.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That is real life.
The one that always like boggles my mind, I remember Elder Scrolls Oblivion being the best looking game in the universe. I was like a GameCube only playing boy. One of my friends got an Xbox 360 early on and booted up Oblivion, and I was like, oh my God, this is the future. Oh, we can't top that.
That's so real. That shit hits my core, dude. That hits my core.
Oh. And like 100% believing that, like, this is so much better. We can't do any better.
You play as like an Argonian. It's like, that's like a real lizard, dude.
That's a lizard.
That's like a real lizard man.
It's like they're actually talking. Their mouths moved and everything.
Like the scales stretch, dude. That's crazy.
Oh dear.
Holy crap, dude. Like that's so true. Like growing like in my household, there was like a lot of like racing games and like shooter games. My dad was like super into like GoldenEye and V-Rally and like Turok 2, stuff like that. So like going from that to Wind Waker was such a strange leap, because I was like, oh, games can like have better graphics, but also like that doesn't mean that they're gonna look.
They don't have to look realistic. They don't have to look like real people.
Like I was like, oh, people can be flexible with art direction. I didn't know that. Because that was definitely like the attitude from like basically throughout all of the early 2000s, from the 90s to the 2000, like mid 2000s, was just like, how realistic can it be?
Yeah.
And that was like the whole push. And people are like still making that kind of comparison today, which is like baffling to me because like, basically as soon as it hit, I know it's ridiculous to make the statement now, and this statement is going to age poorly in its own right, because like we're going to look back in like 10 years and like graphics are going to be even better and better and better. But I feel like at this point, like we have plateaued when it comes to realistic graphics. I see like, I don't know, dude, I see The Last of Us looking better than like a lot of CG, like in like proper films.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, like we're good. Like we're pretty good here.
Yeah.
Like foliage is like bending and moving out the way of my character when I'm walking around. And like people are like, oh, look how much better this realistic game looks compared to this completely different game with a way different art direction.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like game developers have like all the tools they have at the moment to make like whichever visual like art direction they want, which is amazing. Amazing standard.
Yeah, it's been really, because we've grown up with that like not being the case. Like there's always been like limitations that developers have kind of had to take into account. And I feel like we are at the point where, especially like going into this next generation, where like all the claims are that like, oh, like you're not going to need to do like loading anymore. Like it feels like we're at the point where like, people have a blank canvas and like they just need to utilize that. They shouldn't be going for like trying to make it as photorealistic, or like if they do, like there's nothing really holding that back. Like it's not like, oh, we need to go even more photorealistic than the last person. Like we're pretty close to that uncanny valley. Like don't know where we can push forward past. And this conversation's probably gonna like someone's gonna comment on this 10 years from now and be like, you fools. But yeah, absolutely. But like I think really what we're trying to say is that like we're at the point of diminishing returns. Right? We're at that point. Where like the curve is starting to like curve out at the top here, like as opposed to like going, like for instance, going from like the PS1 to the PS2 era, it was like rocketing up like in quality. And now we're like curving out to this point. Hey there, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit the subscribe button and make sure that bell icon is turned on. Also, if you want to watch the show live, you can check us out over on Twitch, where we stream most nights. And if you want your name in the credits, why don't you check out my Patreon, where you can support the show directly. Thanks for watching.